Hey guys, welcome back to our next flip video. In this one, we're going to be looking at our next reading, An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge. And with this short story, we're going to start talking about plot and point of view. So, An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge is written by Ambrose Bierce, a big writer of this era. He was nicknamed Bitter Bierce by his contemporaries. He wasn't always a very happy guy. He had kind of a reputation of being angry, depressed, bitter, so that earned him a nickname. He went to a military academy in Kentucky, and he served in the Civil War. A lot of his stories dealt with soldiers, the Civil War, the military lifestyle, and they had kind of that extra authenticity because it was something he had experienced. He also settled in San Francisco and worked as a journalist like many of the authors of this time. We talked about it in the Unit 5 intro video. A lot of the authors of this time kind of got their starts in journalism, and that led to the increase in that realism piece that comes out of this era. And Bierce is one of those people who got his start as a journalist and was kind of trained to be a journalist, and so his writing focuses on that realism piece of just giving the facts. So, before we get into the story, some quick review kind of introducing what we're going to be talking about with this story. We're going to be looking at plot, so we need to just make sure we're on the same page with the components of plot. All of this should be review. You guys are familiar with it. You've got your plot line with exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, resolution. That's your basic plot line, so you're going to want to keep that in your mind because you want to make sure you're using these terms as you're talking about the story. Beyond the basic plot line, we're going to be looking specifically at how does Bierce order events? How do authors give us the events in the story? They don't always give them in order. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And the choice they make in whether to give it to us in order or not is important. So you have some different types of ways an author can give you the plot. They can give it to you in chronological order. That's just the way things happen in first, second, third, fourth, up until the end. You can do the bookend order, which deals with flashbacks. So you kind of start at the end. Maybe you start at event number 5, but you flash back and then go 1, 2, 3, 4 until you're back at 5. You can start in media res, which is Latin for in the middle of things, and that's where your story just kind of starts in the middle of the action. There's no real exposition, there's no real introduction, you're just getting right to it. And then the last order is a non-linear plot, and this is where your events are all mixed up. There's still a beginning, middle, and end, but you're not giving them in that order. You might give a little bit of the middle, a little bit of the end, and then back to the beginning, and then back to the end, and then back to the middle, and you're just jumping around. It's non-linear. And so if you kind of look at these visuals here, you can see chronological and those are your linear plots. Those are the ones that are just going to go in order. You're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. It's going to happen in order. Your non-linear, it's going to jump around. You're going to start, go forward, jump back, go a little more forward, go back further, jump around, and that's your non-linear plot. And so when you're reading, when you're looking at how authors give you events, you want to look at why did they choose the order they did. When we're reading Owl Creek Bridge, you want to look at why doesn't Bierce give us the events in order? Because he doesn't give us a chronological order. He jumps around. And so you want to look at why would he do that? What does it do for the story? Another important part of literature and short stories when you're reading them is you want to look at the point of view. What vantage point is the story being told from? Who's telling the story? Can we trust them? Are they reliable? Are they giving us all the information? And so when you're talking about point of view, you've got 3 kind of big breakdowns. You've got first person, second person, third person, and then within third person you've got 2 specific types of third person. You've got third person limited and you've got third person omniscient. So with first person, you've got your narrator is a character in the story. You're getting that story from generally the protagonist's perspective. You're going to see the words I, me, my, we, us, those things. If we're looking at Jack and the Beanstalk, if that story is first person, it's going to be, I was going to the store and a man approached me and he gave me some magic beans. That's your first person. And so you want to be on the lookout for those words. And when you're looking at first person, again, you want to think about, is this reliable? Can I trust this narrator? Is this narrator giving me all of the facts? Another common type of narration is third person narration. And with third person, you've got your narrator who's witnessing the story. Your narrator is an observer. They're not necessarily part of the story. So first person, remember, you've got your narrator is in the story. Your narrator's saying I, me, my, things like that. Third person, your narrator's witnessing the story. They're looking down on it. They're using words like he, she, they, them, her, his. And again, they're looking down on the action. And you've got two different types of third person narration. So one type of third person narration is third person limited. Your narrator's witnessing the story, that's what makes it third person. They're an observer. But what makes it limited is the narrator only has the thoughts, the inner thoughts of one character. So Jack was thinking this, blah, 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 blah. You're getting the thoughts of that one character and just that one character. Your narrator is limited in their knowledge. The other type of third person is omniscient. This is your all-knowing narrator. Your narrator knows the inner thoughts of multiple characters, 2, 3, 4, all of the characters. That's your third person omniscient. So Jack was on his way to the store. He was thinking about the milk he was going to buy when an old man approached him. The old man thought he looked like an easy mark. That's omniscient. Now you're getting the thoughts of the old man and Jack. So your omniscient narrator knows about multiple characters. Your limited narrator knows about one character. Your last type of narrator is the second person narrator. This is more rare, but it does exist. And your second person narrator is going to be using words you, your, yourself. Your second person narrator is talking directly to you as the reader. This is where you get a story filled with commands and things like that. Imagine you were going to the store and a man comes up and offers you some magic beans. You take them and you are taken on an amazing journey. That's your second person narrator. So along with the type of narrator, you look at how is the narration given. One of the things that starts to come about in this era and that Bierce uses and you're going to want to be on the lookout for is stream of consciousness narration. And so what stream of consciousness is it's a narrative mode that seeks to portray a point of view by giving the written equivalent of the character's thought processes. In other words, it's a style in which the author is trying to give the thoughts and ideas the way the human mind experiences them. So you get a lot of short bursts, not a lot of full sentences. There's not often clear or logical connections between ideas. Because if you ever narrate what you're actually thinking, you start to recognize that we don't think in full thoughts. We don't think in full sentences. We don't think in clear, logical ways all the time. And so stream of consciousness narration is an author's attempt to just get that down on paper, to try and make it look like the way our human mind actually works. It's part of that realism idea. It's more authentic, and so that's what they're trying to do. So if you look at this example from James Joyce, his novel Ulysses, he is a young Leopold, as in a retrospective arrangement, a mirror within a mirror, hey, presto, he beholdeth himself. That young figure of then is seen, precious manly, walking on a nipping morning from the old house in Clambersill to the high school, his book satchel on him bandolier-wise, and in it a goodly hunk of wheaten loaf, a mother's thought. And so this is stream of consciousness, right? It's broken up. It's short bursts. This is the way our minds work. Our minds don't think in nice, clear, logical, well put together thoughts. We have little bursts of thoughts, and then we're on to the next thought, and then we're on to the next thought. Stream of consciousness is an author just putting that down on paper. So you get a mirror within a mirror, and then the next thought, and then the next thought. And then you get thoughts broken up down here. And so that's your stream of consciousness. And Bierce does this in an occurrence in Owl Creek Bridge, so you're going to want to be on the lookout for that. Alright, so an occurrence in Owl Creek Bridge It's broken up into 3 sections. Your first section, you've got your protagonist, Peyton Farquhar. He's standing on the bridge. He's about to be hanged. So that's how our story opens. So as you're reading section 1, you're going to want to pay attention to the shift in point of view and how time is treated. What does Bierce say about time? How does time play out in section 1? Section 2, you get a flashback. This gives the reader why is Farquhar standing on the bridge about to be hanged. What did he do? So you're going to want to look at the characterization of Farquhar. What kind of guy is he? What has he done? What does he believe? What does he think? How does he interact with his wife? And then you're going to want to look at why is he being punished? What has he done to deserve death? Because that's an important element of the story. And then in section 3, you get Farquhar's escape. It's not a spoiler. I'll keep the spoilers to myself here. But in section 3, you're going to want to notice the point of view again. We're reading this story for 2 big things: stream of consciousness and point of view. So you want to be paying attention to those, especially in section 3. That's where they really start to show up. And then because this is a non-linear plot, you want to be looking at how does Bierce order the events? In what order does he give us events? All right, that wraps up the video. Make sure you've taken some notes. Make sure you understand point of view, stream of consciousness, and plot order. Go ahead and take the quiz that follows this, and we'll see you in class.